Welcome to the December 11th Advance Report from McGowanGroup clients and NetWorthRadio.com listeners. We're going to start with Texas winners of 2023. There's only 14 trading days left in the year, so we could start to declare the big winners and draw some lessons as we go along the way. Tenet Healthcare is first, a 42% gain for the year for 2023. And it was depressed at the end of the year. There's a trading pattern that's a good lesson there, and that is if something's extraordinarily depressed, we put it into the year-end trading package because when tax loss selling ends, it tends to get a bounce. That's called the January effect. Here, 55% for DR Horton, America's home builder. Now, the home builders were depressed at the end of 2022. You'd had a 10% decline in home prices here in North Texas, and the premise was it's going to look like 2008, and it's just going to be a big housing wreck. Well, that didn't happen, and you could see Arlington-based DR Horton up 55% for the year, making a 52-week high just recently this week. Why? People wanted new homes, and North Texas market, which is one of their primary markets, did not freeze. So the preference for new homes, because existing homes actually there's not that many available. If you got a 3% mortgage, you're less likely to move. All right, here, 71% for Cinemark. Thank you, Barbie. This was a pink race this year. Back to the movies, and Cinemark bounces 71%, 77% for Dell Technologies. Austin-based Dell Technologies having a banner year and a record high. So Dell Technologies was also depressed at the end of the year. So it's a good tax loss selling candidate last year. We're working on this year's candidates for who's making a lot of money, stock's depressed, and it's under pressure here in tax loss selling. Our first candidate's already up in the model portfolio. That's why you should get a plan. This one is Lennox International, the HVAC giant with higher rates. Construction was just supposed to stop. It didn't, and you could see an all-time new high for Richardson-based Lennox International. Next, Builders FirstSource, the big Texas winner, up 128%. Of course, they provide for construction of both homes and commercial buildings, and Builders FirstSource is the big winner of the year. It was depressed at the end of last year for a similar premise that turned out not to be correct. Now, this is Bitcoin having a nice little party here. What happened? This is Bitcoin going from 70,000 down to about 15,000. So digital beanie babies had a falling out this year. The premise that the SEC is going to approve an exchange traded fund for Bitcoin, and then people will buy it and they have to buy Bitcoin to put in the fund. Well, that's already getting built in, and it's gone to 44,000 from a low of 15. Now, this is not the type of asset that we use in our portfolios, but it is notable, people piling in again, and eventually it's likely to peak and then have a little settling down like this right here, which was catastrophic if you had all your money in the crypto market at that point. So it's very dangerous because the only value is based on what somebody else will pay you for it. All right, here we go. This is inflation. So now we're looking ahead to 2024. By the way, I'm Spencer McGowan, your financial weatherman, president of McGowanGroup Wealth Management. Thank you for subscribing, tuning in, and the broadcast will bring you the forecasts for 2024 that have the most credibility. One thing about forecasts, you better study what's actually happening before you worry about some forecasts. Well, here, 9% was actually the peak of inflation. Now it's 3.2, and we reported this week on the program at NetWorthRadio.com or Apple Podcasts. We went deep into what's ahead for inflation. You're seeing durables already in deflation. Prices actually coming down in some areas. Predictions that the Fed will have to cut rates. At the same time, GDP growth was 5.2% last quarter, came in this quarter Right now, according to the Atlanta Fed, it's declined to just 1.2%. That's still growth, but it's kind of anemic, and it also says this number could come down very rapidly in 24, and it starts to cut, and the net present value of high cash flow portfolios would, by definition, increase because the comparison rate is likely to go down. And that's also good for equity. Earnings growth, 4.4% for the S&P 500. For the first time in about 18 months, earnings have started to grow. Now, productivity this week was up 5.2% in the third quarter. Unit labor costs actually went down. What's that? Profit. So for 2024-2025, Ed Yardeni, who's a great source for S&P earnings forecasts, he actually graphs how accurate he is over time. Anyway, he predicts a 20% gain in S&P 500 profits, operating profits, between now and the end of 2025. So, tune in each week. Be sure to get your plan from McGowanGroup Wealth Management. You can upgrade your plan. We serve affluent families right from the Crescent in Dallas. Happy to do a Zoom call, and also happy to give you the office tour and you can meet the team. Thank you for tuning in today to Net Worth Media. We also have Apple Podcast. Simply type in Net Worth Radio and boom, it'll hit your phone right then. If you also go to networthradio.com on a browser, you're going to be able to meet the team. You can see our performance track record, the model portfolios that go with today's broadcast. Also at networthradio.com, the longer play podcast is available there as well. We're grateful that you've tuned in. Remember, when we talk about a security, it doesn't make it a recommendation for your portfolio until we actually complete a written plan for you by Zoom or in office or simply a conference call. So you reach us at networthradio.com if you want to get that arranged. Market fluctuations and how to handle them. We build high cash flow portfolios, and past performance doesn't guarantee future results, so you do have to be ready for challenging markets. We can build more cash flow during challenging markets than we can when everybody's happy and everything's up, which is when we tend to raise tactical safety. Those allocation strategies are here at networthradio.com. Thank you for tuning in.